man Sam, he had a farm. Walked the land with the rifle, most of the time shit was calm. His whole life was maintained off the everyday labor. From the mules in the field to the cattle in the stable. This is how he kept food on his table. You would've thought he was disabled from the way he be relaxing, acting like
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. Today we're going to spotlight another indie house. This one from the mind of Victor Wong, and the house is called Zoologist. Couple of things here first that I want to say to Victor and to my audience and subscribers. As a frequenter of various Facebook fragrance groups, I had been seeing Victor's posts for a long time, and they were always so thoughtful. And he has such a great perspective on fragrance, and I just always had enjoyed reading his posts. And then I started to see in the groups, pictures of this fragrance called Beaver. And it was in this beautiful bottle, which I showed in the intro, with this awesome label art. And I said to myself, I got to see what's going on with this house and this fragrance Beaver. And so I guess my point here is that I was not surprised in the least to learn that Victor Wong was the gentleman behind Zoologist. So, I reached out to Victor, let him know who I was, said, can I preview this stuff, man? And he sent me the three samples of the fragrances he's debuting: Rhinoceros, Beaver, and Panda. So before we talk about my two favorites, let's just talk a little bit about the house. I'm already rooting for this house because Victor, a Canadian who lives in Toronto, like me, has a day job that, maybe wasn't necessarily fulfilling his creative side. And I'm sort of in that same situation. I have a great job. I really do. I'm a marketing executive at a huge company, but it's my plan to start my own house as well, one day, and more details on that down the road. But that in itself already makes me root for Zoologist. So basically, Victor started Zoologist to engage his creative side and to try to fulfill that side of him. And Zoologist is a house that was built upon his love for the animal kingdom and fascination with animals, their habitats, their cunning, their primal instincts, their relationships to human beings, and of course their scents. And the idea with Zoologist was to capture the idiosyncrasies of the animal kingdom and transform them into fragrances. And thankfully, no real animal products were used in making the fragrances. Synthetics were used instead. And Victor worked with two brilliant perfumers, Chris Bartlett and Paul Kyler, to bring you these fragrances. So he sent me three, and I'm going to talk to you about two. And let me just say that I think all three are worthy of getting your nose on, because the creativity here is just through the fucking roof. And would I wear all three? I don't know about that yet. But I'll tell you this. If someone came to me and said, Max, show me why you love fragrance. What appeals to you so much about fragrances? Why do you have 350 bottles of cologne? Zoologist would be a house that I would show to that person. These scents are unique. They're complex. They're multifaceted, they're of the absolute highest quality, and they are blended expertly. And at $125 for 60 ml of EDP concentration, these are absolute steals. And I keep saying this, and I hope you guys listen to me, because if there's ever one thing that I've been writing in my life, it's this. If you want niche quality and can't pay niche prices, please look to the indie market. Please look to Smell Bent, Sebastian, 4160 Tuesdays, Imaginary Authors, House of Orpheus, Zoologist, Juniper Ridge. I know I'm forgetting Kerosene. I know I'm forgetting other houses. But please look to those places. And that's why I go out of my way to highlight these houses, because I believe in the houses and I believe in the people behind the houses. But the first fragrance from Zoologist I'd like to talk about is called Beaver. And Castoreum lovers, this one is for you. Notes on Beaver are linden blossom, fresh air, and this, by the way, is Beaver. Linden blossom, fresh air, musk, and light citrus at the top, castoreum, iris, vanilla, smoke, and undergrowth in the middle, and animal musks, ash, cedar, and amber in the base. And at first, this one and all of these are a little jarring, which I love. I love to be shocked. And as a fan of perfume, I'd much rather be repulsed than bored. And none of these repulsed me, for the record. But, you know, they really make me think, which I love. And to me, Beaver, if I was going to compare Beaver to something, I'd compare it to Zing by L'Artisan Parfumé. And Zing is my favorite niche fragrance, for those who don't know. I would say the biggest difference between Zing and this is Zing is more about being gourmand, with some animalic thrown in to support the circusy gourmand nature of it. And I think that Beaver is more animalic in nature. You know, there's castoreum and musk first, and then there is sweetness of vanilla, and there's some citrus to sort of highlight the synthetic animal notes. But you know, Beaver is a beautiful fragrance, and yeah, Beaver is way up on my to-buy list. You know, I'm gonna link to Victor's Facebook page so that when that store is up later this year, you guys can go get these. I think Beaver is incredible. I can't wait to do a full review on it and get a bottle. It's well blended, it's soft, it's got this nice gourmand undertone over this just really slick musk, and it's not offensive, it's not overpowering, it's just a perfect animalic scent in my opinion. Maybe the best in the genre that I've gotten my nose on. Next one that I wanted to talk to you guys about is called Rhinoceros. Which is this guy in the middle. And top notes on Rhinoceros are rum, bergamot, lavender, elemi, sage, armoise, conifer needles, and in the middle we've got pinewood, tobacco, immortelle, geranium, agarwood, and Chinese cedarwood. And in the base you're going to get vetiver, sandalwood, amber, smoke, leather, and musk. And here again we clearly have a fragrance that I think has some gourmand tones to it. Maybe that's from the rum and bergamot and the amber and sandalwood. It creates this very soft and comfortable sweetness that's really appealing. And this one, of course, again has animalic overtones, and there's a crispness to this one that I really like. Out of the three, I think this would be the best suit and tie scent, but it's also boozy and smoky. There's just so much going on here that it could have been a disaster. But if not in the hands of an able-bodied blender. But the blending on these are just absolutely incredible and as good as I've come across. So I love Rhinoceros as well. Now the third one I'm not going to talk about in depth is called Panda, and Panda is really interesting. I don't dislike Panda, but to me Panda is sort of the oddball of the group. It's really out there to me. So much so more than Rhino and Beaver. You know, it opens up with this really unique citrus note that I just couldn't place for the life of me until Victor told me that it is Buddha's hand citron, which is a very odd looking fruit that sort of does resemble a hand if you've ever seen it. But it's sort of similar to lemon. I think it's a bit drier than lemon and a bit has almost a soapier, more detergent-y smell than lemon. So Panda is really interesting, really different. And that's what I love about all of these. You know, it pushes that envelope, it rattles your cage, and that's exactly what the fragrance industry needs. And I'll tell you something else that I think I've really been thinking about a lot recently. You know, when I got into fragrances, you know, and I started exploring niche and, you know, houses like Amouage and Nasamato, it was because designer houses just weren't doing it for me anymore. You know, there's still designer fragrances that I love, and of the 350 bottles I have, 200 are designer. And they're great for work and dates and things like that. But when you really want to start to explore the creative side of this hobby, you kind of got to go to niche. And what I've been noticing more personally recently is that niche to me is almost becoming a little bit like designer. You know, there's a lot of niche fragrances that are just better versions of designer fragrances I have, but not that much more daring. They're not really taking it to that next level. There's not an avant-garde to a lot of niche fragrances. And if you want that, and you're looking for that next thing and that next smell, and to be on the cutting edge of fragrance, guys, it's at the indie house level. And, you know, I've been thinking about this for a while, but getting my hands on Zoologist has really confirmed this to me, that this is where it's at, and this is where the most exciting things in fragrance are happening. They're happening at this level, and I bullshit you not, Zoologist is going to lead the fucking charge in that direction. So if you have not gotten your hand on these fragrances yet, do it. just do it. I mean, you're going to be knocked over at least out of the sheer boldness of these fragrances, and just how well they're composed, and how different they are from everything else out there that's filling shelves everywhere now. You know, not just at Sephora, but even your favorite niche spot has a lot of fragrances that aren't really pushing boundaries. And I'm so glad to have gotten my hands and my nose on Victor Wong's Zoologist. So that's all I'll say about it now. I will get Beaver, and I will do a full review on that, and we'll see what else this magnificent house does, and boom. I will link to Victor's Facebook page, Zoologist Facebook page, in the description. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or get in touch with Victor through his Facebook page. And that's it, guys. I'll see you again real soon. My name is Maximilian. I must know.
This is the animal to man. This is the animal to you. This is the animal to man. Coming true.